let me introduce myself. My name is Łukasz Łukowski, and I am Chief Sales and Marketing Officer at STORDIS. As a STORDIS, we are a local distributor with a lot of extra value. We are also one of the solution provider under the OCP. Today, I am with a really strong team and with my good friends from IP Infusion. Gentlemen, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello. My name is Jan Huiting. I am the Channel Sales Director for IP Infusion, and I will lead you to a little deep dive with IP Infusion.
Product management at IP Infusion for the data center networking and for the passive optical networking at IP Infusion.
Hi, I'm William Gray. I'm the Channel Solutions Principal from IP Infusion. We're here to walk you through and discuss the details of some of the use cases that we have.
Yeah, thank you. So going over agenda for today, we'll start from some kind of like a reminder, what is exactly our Back to Open program. This time we prepare much more details in regards of the audit and the migration offer. And then the time will be fully with my friends from IP Infusion. So we will go over the overview, some case studies, certified data center solution, and in the end of that presentation of that meeting today, we will have also an open discussion. So please feel free to ask any question. In the end, we will go one-on-one and try to answer all those questions. So what it is about Back to Open? Back to Open program is a program which we at STORDIS designed and developed with a few good software partners. The idea is to help all of our customers, all of the Cumulus users, let's say, go back again to the open. So as a reminder, what happened with the Cumulus networks? So as some of you could be aware, unfortunately, Cumulus been acquired by NVIDIA. And maybe to make that longer story short, in the end of the day, they also lose an access to the Broadcom support. And as you can find in the one of the software release note, all the platforms based under the Broadcom ASIC, so that will be potentially like a 90% of the hardware compatibility list, will be not any longer supported from the latest Cumulus Linux 4.0 release. So it means that unfortunately, Cumulus for the Broadcom-based platform, the latest version which you will finally stack, it is 4.3. What also that means for you? So having said that, it means that you will not get the further software update. 4.3, it will be your latest version. Speaking about the new feature, unfortunately, NVIDIA will also not support any new features to the Broadcom Silicon. From that 4.4, you would primarily see only the Spectrum Silicon based platform. There could be some challenges with fixing the bugs. Definitely, that is a serious issue. And speaking about the platform, especially new platforms and the porting, unfortunately, this is also something which end up. So if someone from you was waiting for, I don't know, new support of such a platform, like, for example, Trident 3, 10G from Edgecore and the others, unfortunately, it will not happen. And what is currently support with those all limits, what I was bringing, that will not change. But that was the reason that we came up with our Back to Open proposal and program. And based on that, one of the, let's say, like a key factor is that we can help you with the whole transition and even to make that, let's say, as cost efficient as possible with the support of IP Infusion. We can provide you free of charge licenses one-to-one to all the platforms which are compatible with the OcNOS and IP Infusion and where you are currently running the Cumulus. Of course, you will again go fully to the commercial, really well, let's say, respected 24/7 support with all of the benefits, with the new features, fixes, and updates. Once again, support for various hardware platforms will be just in front of you. So that program is designed not only for let's say single hardware vendor, but we are covering all the transitions from the Cumulus Express platforms, Edgecore networks, Delta, Gma, or even Dell. We are also helping with a free consultancy and topology and configuration migration. More about that we will also share soon. So how the audit and the migration offer is looking like. When we've been designing that program and we've been starting to working with the first customers and helping with some first migration, we've been really trying to add all those, let's say, missing points to make that transition smoothly. So speaking about the back to open package, beside the free of charge licenses, which I was mentioning, and one point maybe to add, the only cost with that migration is related with a minimum 1 year of the standard support. We, as a STORDIS from our end, we are also adding the evaluation of the compatible bare metal hardware. So definitely we will help you to check if the platforms which currently are in your network with the Cumulus are compatible with the OcNOS and IP Infusion. We will help with the identification and we will analyze your requirements. And of course, we will help with the migration and hold the planning. But we've been also receiving more and more, let's say, requests and even specialized SLA. And good is that definitely we can answer and also provide some further support. So we prepare some optional services like compilation of the high-level designs. We can go over different test scenarios, including the documentation. We can help with the network and solution assessment. We can even provide like a pre-staging of the pre-configuration according to your needs. If someone is asking on the on-site configuration, that is also doable. Of course, we are a little bit under some challenge related with the COVID situation, but hopefully the world is opening, so that is also available. And if someone will need to get a further help with documentation, with extra know-how transfer, or even a operational training, that is also something which we as a local partner prepare and are ready to provide to you. So how to start? We are saying that there are just 3 pretty easy steps. So first, you have to get in touch with us and discuss your current and future requirements, how you see your networks, where you would like to go. Step 2 is after that, let's say, audit and the preparation, you need to choose your migration plan. Either it is what is already included in our package, or maybe you will be able to support with some further steps. We are really happy to do that. And the last, once when the migration is done, you are again back to open. So if someone was wondering if choosing Cumulus was a bad choice, the answer is definitely not, because the first what you choose open networking, and open networking, it means a freedom on the hardware, freedom on the software. So your network will stay, still be open, go back to the open, get another, I believe that even better, and definitely future-proof software, and get all the, let's say, enterprise base support. So really encourage you to contact us. And right now I will provide my voice to my colleagues from IP Infusion.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your time for joining this webinar. So my name is Jan Huiting. I recently joined IP Infusion in the function of Partner Sales Director in EMEA. I will give you an overview of IP Infusion Open Networking Solution with a slight focus on data center applications and customer references. I have on my side Daniel Luong, an experienced data center expert, and I have William Graves, also an experienced data center and networking expert, and they will support us during your Q&As, questions and answer sessions. Let's deep dive a bit into IP Infusion. So IP Infusion basically was founded in 1999 by Kinihiru Izukuru and Yoshinari Yoshikawa. Yeah, and with the idea of creating a commercial grade hardware independent network software for IPv4 and IPv6. So the vision to create IP Infusion comes from Izikuru's background as a co-founder, and here it comes, of open source Zebra. So the open source Zebra was basically the first NOS that was running an IPv6 network in Tokyo, and this was about 1995. Yeah? So the open source Zebra is basically evolving into Quagga, which basically resulted in a new commercial OcNOS. And this is what we are talking about today, network operations software that is basically running on open platforms. As a leading provider of network solutions for telecom and data communications, IP Infusion is creating the paradigm shift by basically accelerating the disaggregation in large networks. Today, we are headquartered in Santa Clara in California, USA, and we have offices around the world in Europe, India, and Asia. Our innovative solutions enable our customers to build flexible, high-capacity infrastructures that allow them to introduce new services with agility while also reducing cost of ownership, which is nowadays very important with the 5G data demand. With regards to open source innovations, we work closely together with Linux Foundations, Open Compute Project Foundation, and the TIP organization in building solutions with them and according to their standards. We deliver open, standard-based solutions that span multi-cloud data center environments through the transport layer and reaching all the way to the edge of the network. As you can see, we have more than 20 years of experience in networking and operation systems. We are a proven leader in delivering validated, carrier-grade solutions with hundreds of customers and thousands of deployments. Together with STORDIS, you can migrate back to open with a high degree of confidence and reassurance. Our network operating system, also called OcNOS, can be used on several white box platform use cases, ranging from data centers, cell-site routers, provider edge, but also optical and packet transport applications, which I will come back to. IP Infusion has a full range of network operation system options that address these use cases. So let's focus now on the right side of the slide. There you see two very important recognitions. The first one is from GigaOM, and the second one is from an Analyst Mason. You noticed that IP Infusion is very close to the bullseye in the center of the GigaOM radar. So you wonder, why is this? Why is this important? Now, GigaOM, an important technology and analysis firm, has recognized that IP Infusion is a leader in its GigaOM radar report for network operating systems. rating IP Infusion as a leader and fast mover due to the completeness of its portfolio, the innovation, and maturity of the solution. Hence, the closer you are to the bullseye, the more perfect the world looks for disaggregation. According to GigaOM analyst, I'm quoting at this moment, with over 20 years of experience providing network operation solutions, IP Infusion rich pedigree guarantees you won't get fired by choosing this company. Then the second recognition was done by Analysis Mason, a global leader in technology, media, and telecom management consulting. They named IP Infusion the leading communications service provider network operating system vendor. This year, Analysis Mason calls IP Infusion as the market leader in terms of disaggregation capabilities, experience, open source credentials, and the number of customer service provider customers that are deploying their solutions. IP Infusion was recognized for its broad range of use case deployments and their customers of all sizes, and the rich heritage of open source routing, broad hardware and silicon support, carrier grade products, and production deployments. So let me move on to the next slide. So why IP Infusion? IP Infusion has a mature and rich platform. Support data center interconnection in addition to leaf spine use cases. It has a broad white box and silicon support, and we will come back to that. It has a proven track record to work in massive data center deployments. Also here, I have a couple of references to mention. And the open architecture management, of course, automation and application, all this will be provided in an end-to-end fashion. Not to mention that IP Infusion was named to the CRN's 2021 top 50 of software-defined data centers. So let me move on to the next slide, to the key differentiators. So let's talk about advanced capabilities. So the advanced capabilities are basically underlined with integrated optical transport that will enable us also to do data center interconnection solutions. Furthermore, the MPLS and VXLAN service overlays will be crucial for both DC and WAN network domains and to stitch them together. So this all results in a smaller footprint, lower power, and increased scalability. When you look at the ease of integration, the open programmability and automatic approach, together with the supported APIs and famous monitoring applications like OpenConfig, NetConf, Ansible, SNMP, Syslog, and SFlow, all well supported and leads to streamline our operations and to induce lower OPEX. Regarding the ready of deployment, production deployments are spanning a variety of data center use cases. The choice of the current and future open networking platforms for replacements of Cumulus functionality. And these platforms will only extend going forward. This all leads to an acceleration of deployment, but also shortens the time to revenue considerable. So the leader in open disaggregation networks, another key differentiator. So we have proven that a single NOS platform is capable of supporting multiple use cases, including emerging use cases and technologies. Active roadmaps for developing future capabilities. And of course, this leads in a very active enablement and flexible enablement, agility, and lower TCO for your solutions. Let me go through a couple of use cases. So I want to start with Sakura Internet on the right side. So Sakura Internet is one of the largest data centers in Japan. Sakura Internet maintains one of the largest communication line capacities in Japan and operates on its own data centers with a high-speed network and robust facilities. They are established in 3 locations: Tokyo, Osaka, and Hokkaido. Each data center is interconnected by a line of 10 gigabits per second or more. And for external connectivity, it connects with multiple internet exchanges and a major amount of internet service providers. The quality is supported by traffic interchange of about 120 companies. So what did we do there in concrete? We modernized and expanded the data center capacity with open disaggregated spine leaf architecture. We reduced their TCO with the best breed of white box solution, and we automated with netconf and ZTP, and we put a controller in place. Then I would like to move to the left side of the slide. Mundo Pacifico. IP Infusion solution for Mundo Pacifico in Chile enables this regional internet service provider to build out an infrastructure and deliver IPTV, voice, internet, and level 2, level 3 VPN services to their business and residential customers. The network capacity and existing deployments across major cities was expanded, and new deployments were taking up part of this project. The operator was able to onboard new customers and provided additional services like IPTV, voice, internet, and VPN. Significant reduction in CapEx was established, and of course OpEx, resulting in an increased data throughput at lower cost per bit. We were able to add capacity on demand by plugging in additional optic modules in the same chassis, following a pay-as-you-grow model. So one of the original network challenges was strengthening their existing network with the capacity and deployment of new cities spreading over 80 to 120 kilometers to enable enterprise and residential services. The traditional OEM switches deployed for access and aggregation nodes are vendor locked with a closed optical line system that was CapEx and OpEx heavy. So such systems lack agility and service creation. Scalability and expansion for customers were very difficult to achieve. The legacy DWDM equipment also is not only expensive, but was very difficult to host and operate and maintain. So why IP Infusion for this type of networks? So IP Infusion today, the internet service providers today are under a stiff competition and tremendous price pressure, and hence are faced with the challenge of lowering CapEx and OpEx for delivering services at aggressive price points. So IP Infusion disaggregated solution has enabled Mundo Pacific to embrace the disaggregation open networking initiative and leverage the converged packet optical platforms. So this is important again for the data center interconnect solutions. So what we did here, 3 points: expanding countrywide backbone across 80 to 120 kilometers over 200 gigabits optical links, deliver triple play, and we have all cities deployed with a dual homed spine, with a leaf dual home spine redundancy architecture. Going to links in the middle of the chart. London Internet Exchange Point is one of the largest operators in this field connecting more than 120 networks over 75 countries. It is the first Internet exchange point in the world that is adopting disaggregated model that allows EVPN over VXLAN leaf-spine topologies. It has full automation and is 100 gig ready to deliver. Total cost of ownership bringing greater levels of service quality to the customers. Total ownership was reduced considerable. After months of research with potential suppliers, the Linux management decided to source the hardware from Edgecore networks and the software from IP Infusion, so-called OcNOS. And they deployed it in their networks and their data centers using a disaggregated approach. So coming back into 4 points on this. So we connected more than 280 networks in 75 countries. Best of breed platforms were used. EVPN and VXLAN was used to make it all work together. And for redundancy, we used the leaf-spine topology. Reduced the total cost of ownership considerably. Exceeded the 800 gigabit peak traffic requirement with an SLA of 99 with another 4 nines behind the comma. So I'm quoting the CTO of Linux in those days, Richard Petrie. As a result of our testing, extensive testing, we are moving forward with OcNOS operating system for our disaggregated platforms to allow Linux to deliver the latest technology of OcNOS with IP Infusion. The open network switching were selected from Edgecore networks. So in the deployment, a little bit more in detail, because I think it's important, is that the OcNOS network operating system was at the end deployed successfully on the open network switches from Edgecore networks. For the engineers under us, it was the AS7712, and then another combination with the AS5812, all based on Broadcom Tomahawk and Trident 2+ chipsets. Let me move to the use case of the data center. So the leaf and spine data center topology, as known by you all, in today's networks is required to span more than just a single data center to address continued operation and resilience. Support for technologies to enable the connections of 2 or more data centers is required, and the more integrated that connectivity, the simpler your operations. So our approach, our IP Infusion approach to the enterprise data center is not only encompasses the capability to scale intra data center connectivity, but also to integrate the flexibility to scale inter data center connectivities. Yeah? So we can help you with both solutions requirements. On the server provider side, on the server provider side, there is a high requirement on timing. Here we see that there is a very high bandwidth need, low latency. There is capabilities for virtual network function services. Now, also here, IP Infusion has the differentiation, I would say, that we are supplying 2 precision time protocol applications. The first one is the IEEE 1588 version 2, all known by you, and then the other one is the SYNC-E, the physical layer, providing the frequency synchronization in the networks. Let me move on to the certified platforms. So IP Infusions provide support to a wide range of Edgecore platforms that address data center needs for the management layer, the leaf layer, the spine layer, and the data center interconnect. It's not shown, that this support is not limited to just Strata XGS-based chipsets of Broadcom, but also the more advanced Strata DNX-based chipsets as well. So this enables IPI to not only provide a relative seamless migration from Cumulus, but also enables the ability to add new capabilities that were previously not available. So taking this back a little bit to a more end-to-end approach that IP Infusion has in their portfolio, is that what you see here is a diagram that shows the depth and breadth of IP Infusion disaggregated networking. IP Infusion's perspective is the changes in the access with 5G and higher broadband requirements deserves a re-architecting of the networks and the aggregation, transport, and data center use cases. Several things are being clear. Bandwidth requirements are trending from 400 to 800 gigabits per second. In addition to heterogeneous networks being the norm, support for interworking existing networks is key. Hence, our MPLS stack. Integration with optical transport layers of routing and switching is now possible with new optical pluggable technologies to enable integration with optical line systems as part of the routing functionality. The rise of the edge data center is a very important point. To support the edge computing will drive requirements such as timing and synchronization into the data center spine and leaf topologies, as well as in the integrating of universal service overlay requirements such as the latest SRv6. So all this is managed by an open config netconf telemetry end-to-end management system that will also orchestrate and do service provisioning. So we are solving all these problems with a single OS for maximum efficiency. Our focus on the full network spectrum allows us to deliver innovative capabilities into the data center that are beyond today's requirements. So here I would like to make a link to the assets that we have added to this webinar platform, and you can download. We have a couple of examples. We have the top 50 software-defined data center list where IP Infusion was added to by CRN. We have the GigaOM radar report for your convenience to read, where you see how IP Infusion is separating itself from the competition. And then, of course, the data center solution sheets. Then I would like to move to the next slide. We go to the value propositions. Yeah, here, actually, it's straightforward. We will protect your investment with this seamless migration. You will keep to be working with open platforms, and our software will support several families of platforms. Yeah, so your investment will be protected by going to an open source software, because you can choose the hardware of your needs for future extensions. The servicing of existing Edgecore equipment, and then of course the break of the vendor lock, which will enable you to really go with the disaggregation feature kind of flow on our roadmaps. Lower TCO, not an important point, will always be there. So the active roadmaps will also include management and orchestration and future virtualized components. So I would like to give it back to Łukasz for the Q&A session.
Thank you, Jan. I was also first listening, but also taking some notes from the chat. And we have a few questions to be honest. So maybe let's start from the obviously about the pricing model. So what is the IPI pricing model? If you can share a bit more details, how that is looking.
William? Yes, please.
Yeah, the IP Infusion pricing model is a perpetual pricing model, traditional pricing model with support. It is priced by the capacity of the platforms themselves and also by the feature set, depending upon whether or not you have an MPLS-based feature set or a subset of those features. That's the way we price the product. It is very flexible in the way that we put it together. And we believe it brings a lot of bang for the buck because there are no licensing schemes on a per port basis or anything like that. We're not licensing on small features, but we're licensing on very large feature sets. So basically, let's say you have a DC IP-based feature set or a DC IP-based with MPLS feature set, and that's it. There's a lot of small, nickel and dime type, if you will, charges. We try to give a lot of capability for the money, and we believe this is the very good approach and very easy to keep track of from a procurement perspective.
And how about the support? Is that included, excluded? If you can also share a bit more.
Yeah, support's 24/7 standard. Standard support is 24/7 for critical issues, and then we offer a premium support with tighter SLAs depending upon what the customer would like. Support is renewed on a yearly basis.
Excellent. And also maybe before we will go to the next question, I almost forgot, if any of you is interested, we also upload some interesting materials to our handout. So please just feel free to download that anytime. Another one, OcNOS supports both VXLAN-based EVPN and MPLS-based EVPN. So what are the difference between those two?
I can take that.
Daniel, you can get started.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, so both VXLAN and MPLS-based EVPN provide layer 2 VPN services over the underlying network. Both use the BGP EVPN extension to exchange or to communicate the reachability information of the end node, for example, the MAC address or IP address information. But VXLAN EVPN use VXLAN encapsulation, and based on the popular layer 3 routing protocol, while MPLS-based EVPN use obviously MPLS protocol, right? IPI support both type of EVPN. The VXLAN-based EVPN is mainly used for the enterprise data center, where the layer 3, the simple layer 3 protocol like OSPF or ISIS is easier to maintain and support. For the MPLS-based EVPN, it is mainly used in the service provider environment. The MPLS provide additional benefit like the traffic engineering and failure recovery, but it more complicated to operate and maintain the protocol. So yeah, that basically the answer.
Okay, excellent, thank you. I see another one from Martin. Do we have everything what we need in your back to open package? So let me maybe take that one on my side. So yes, basically you have everything in that package, even let's say without those optional stuff, already what you need. But as I was mentioning, if anything extra, like I don't know, on-site help or some kind like a pre-configuration for maybe even like your future deployment, that everything that all is something that we can support. But those, what the package includes, and it is like a free of charge, or let's say the only cost which is related with the migration, it is the investment in the 1 year of the support, standard support. Then yes, everything what that like that is already included. I see also like one from George, and I already saw you exchanging some words with William. So what about protecting my IP Infusion OcNOS investment? Example, I see all the benefits of the disaggregated networking, something that in systems happen for the decades with bare metal, but I wouldn't like to find myself in the same position like fellow colleagues which went with the Cumulus. So yes, this is a good question. Gentlemen from IPI, who would like to, refer to that one?
Or you want me to start?
Just feel free. It means, from my perspective, so maybe some of you are aware that my past 6 years, I was more on the hardware side working at Edgecore Networks. So always we've been making small jokes that the software comes and goes, but the hardware is forever, which is maybe improper over that call today with you guys. But William, please add more from your end.
So with IP Infusion, we're a pure play. When I say a pure disaggregation play, is that we don't have any particular, I hate to use a US expression, dogs in the hardware hunt per se. Our current roadmaps cover, Broadcom, as well as some additional architectures that we will be debuting very shortly. And our goal here is to look at hardware more of a fit, if you will, and for us to proliferate OcNOS on as many pieces of hardware that we can put it on. Different chipsets from different vendors to take advantage of different capabilities. But, with respect to this particular conversation and our ability to support Broadcom, we are a premier Broadcom organization in terms of what we support. We've been supporting these platforms for a very, very long time, both from a stack perspective as well as from a binary perspective. And we don't see any changes in that direction. What we do is see some additions of other architectures where we believe that the benefits of having those architectures brings a price and value standpoint to the marketplace.
Thank you.
Can I add additional comment on the top of what William said?
Absolutely, yeah. Please feel free.
Yes. So I think IP Infusion have a long history, and we have been in the disaggregated market for a long time, and we are a part of the Access is a public company, so the probability to have the same happen with the Cumulus is very low. We are committed to provide the super solution for open hardware platform, and it doesn't change in many years. It's happening, for a long time, and I think it will not change in the future.
Yeah, may I chime into this, Łukasz?
Sure, please feel free.
Yeah,
so
can I
George
add?
And the team that is listening in. I think this is a fact of life, right? I mean, companies are being bought by other companies. Companies are evolving. But what I can say is that it is not different than when you buy your software from an incumbent company, because also we have seen that the Lucent technologies are being bought by Alcatel, and Alcatel is being bought by Nokia, and so on. So I think what is key in this presentation here is that we have shown you that IP Infusion is coming from the real roots. We were developing Zebra, yeah? And all this knowledge is moved into OcNOS. It's a very carrier class stable software, and that is protecting itself, okay? And then I see, I also have the next question of George here. Łukasz, do you see this also?
Yes.
Shall I address that one too?
Just maybe let's just read. So it looks like the ISP and the telecoms world is convinced. How can you convince the enterprise world that has different challenges, especially all the Cisco folks?
Yeah, this is correct. I was in this position before, working in another company, but also the competitor was Cisco. So what I can tell you is that disaggregation started in the data center side, yeah, in a long time ago. I mean, people in the data center, they are really experts on disaggregation. Now you see this slowly moving into the telecom networks. Telecom networks are by far more complicated than data center networks, but it is coming, and this is all driven by the CapEx and OpEx requirements. Yeah, I mean, and of course, the customers using the services, they don't want to pay more. It's very difficult to get more out of the market. So there is a trend to continue with this disaggregation, which will bring in more new players in the market, and where the customer at the end is benefiting from to have better solutions, more scaled, and more flexible. So I hope, George, this is answering your question.
Some comment on your question.
Sure.
So yeah, so that is correct. That IP Infusion is had focus on the service provider networking, and as you know that recently service providers start to build their own data center, right? Be it in their edge or access, or in their metro and their core data center. But for them, the requirement pretty much at least the same, or they have more challenges in their own data center. For example, they have requirement for timing, they have a requirement for higher bandwidth and flexibility. So we have to meet our service provider customer in terms of data center networking, and when we can meet those challenges, then we can meet the challenges in the enterprise environment. Yeah, that is my comment.
Thank you. So let's maybe go with the next one. This time from David. How does IPI recommend monitoring an OcNOS-based platform? So a bit more about the monitoring. I don't remember that it was, let's say, fully touched over the slides. Of course, there are some Linux way, but any extra recommendation?
I mean, we have a combination of options that can be chosen. So obviously, this being a world that's been around for a while, I would be remiss if I didn't hit the legacy options first, which would be SNMP, syslog, things like SFlow.
Sure.
These are fairly tried and true methods that people leverage quite heavily, and there's lots of tools out in the marketplace for people to integrate with. And then as we move forward, we get into more of the netconf-based tools with leveraging Yang. And as we start to add things like streaming analytics to our platform, which will be added very shortly, kind of gives you a wide range, if you will, of ways to monitor the platforms. We take a very open approach to the way we do this, and then we're also in the process and some of our development looking at adding our own approaches to this mix. What we don't want to do is lock a customer in and say you have to do it this way or that way. What we try to do is add a lot of options, if you will, from our various different APIs to do the monitoring. So hopefully I answered the question in terms of the range of APIs, in terms of both the legacy one as well as some of the more forward-facing ones that as we move forward. Also, I didn't want to leave unanswerable. That's also one of the other options we have as well.
Sure. So Ansible, yeah, that's potentially CF engine and so on, but also the legacy. And so where you are with that, let's say, mention at your own development?
So we're in the process of developing a set of products in terms of how we would do, we'll call it management and orchestration of our platforms. And, this is a wide open market. So obviously you have people who have their own tools, and we want to be very compatible with those. And that's one of the reasons why we focus heavily on the netconf side of the world, particularly with open config. We see a lot of those requirements obviously coming from the service providers, but we're also seeing some level of adoption in the data center space. Today, I think the majority of these systems are probably handled via SNMP syslog and some sort of flow technology, in our case, SFlow. So, you know, you kind of have to kind of meet people where they are today. And then there's a goal, at least there seems to be an ambition of everybody starting to converge in on more of the streaming analytics, the GNMI based analytics as we move forward. And, you know, we're lining up with that marketplace, trying to use common models there as well. And hopefully, as we move forward, we'll have all of these in place for the customers to use as we move, as time goes on. We think right now you can do quite a bit of with what we already have.
Excellent, thank you, thank you. I believe that it is already covered a lot. So maybe also having in mind in respect to our time frame, let's follow up with 2 or 3 other questions over the emails. Definitely we will answer to all of that. Also, to some of you who are asking if the slides and the materials we share, yes, of course, we will do that. So we will provide those slides. That session, of course, is also recorded. So after maybe a small post-production with our we will try to provide that to you. And I would like to really thank you to especially the sole attendees and to all of you who've been active, like Dave, like George. Really appreciate, and of course to our guests, gentlemen from IP Infusion. We are leaving our contact details, but then always feel free to contact us anytime, not only in regards of potential migration, whatever, if you are a current Cumulus user or maybe just a networking lovers who would like to touch the disaggregation, open networking, feel free to contact me or my colleagues anytime. Appreciate. Thank you also, gentlemen.